What's up? BigHerc916, positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know how we do it over here. I stumbled across this video. Shout out to the gentleman who's in the video. Wasn't able to catch his name, but he's spitting some game, man.
When I see what's happening to our country, I'm not
a very well articulated man. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm not political, all right? I don't believe in Republican or Democrat because it's not in the Constitution. It's not in our Declaration of Independence. It's just American, one nation under God. Whatever they do as one. The trick is to give us the illusion that there is a choice, that there is a separation, to keep us fighting over these things. These things right here. Keep us not talking about the fact that we're working harder. 5 generations now. We're working harder than our great-great-great-grandparents and our grandparents did, who had no education, who sent their first generations to college. We were on our way somewhere, and then something happened in the 50s. One of the big things I think that happened is they took the Bible out of school. People don't know, a lot of you young people don't even know the Bible was curriculum. And I'm not religious once again, but the Bible gives us a strong moral code to live by. We were family. We were community. We knew our neighbors. Our children played outside, met new friends. Those new friends wanted to spend the night, and they had to ask their parents, and their parents became friends. Today, mom's in the park on fentanyl, and we think they give us this propaganda about it comes from China, it comes from here. They didn't want this stuff in this country. It wouldn't be here. This is a weapon against us. There is an attack on all of us, red, blue, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. The American is under attack. Our dollar is buying a lot less. We're working a lot harder for it. We're losing our constitutional rights, whether you realize it or not, a lot through the technology that we're using today.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of valid points. You know, when he says that if they didn't want fentanyl to be in the country, it wouldn't be here. As simple as that. So when you look at the drug war, right, or so-called war on drugs, they had in the 50s and 60s after World War II, and leading up to Vietnam, they had heroin was the big thing, right? And then heroin went to crack, but heroin was still a big business. The people who had to connect made a shit ton of money and transitioned into other legitimate businesses. Just like before the heroin, you had alcohol. You know, all those rich, blue blood families that are now sitting on top of some of the top, Fortune 500 companies and private businesses in the country came from bootlegging and legitimized. And that's basically what a lot of this country was founded on. A lot of people want to talk about, the forefathers and this and that. And they, write history about these people that were scholars, but they leave out a lot. You start reading and doing your research. When you look at like these companies that so-called were import-export, they were, so-called dealing in tea and spices. On top of that, they were dealing with heroin. And drugs has always been a part of American society, American culture. And I'm not saying it's right, but the only thing that has been slightly able to counter that has been the religious aspect of our country, faith in God, the Bible. And like he said, the Bible used to be part of the regular curriculum. See, at least when you read the Bible, it gave you a sense of maybe right and wrong and a sense of accountability. But once you got rid of the Bible, it was a wrap, man, because now it's easy for anything demonic or low frequency to cloud your conscience. And, like I said, going back to the drugs, you got the heroin, you got, first alcohol, which is also a drug, then you got heroin, you got crack, and then you had methamphetamines, and you had the pills because, the pharmaceutical companies jumped in. And now you got the fentanyl, and they're trying, a lot of those are precursors for other drugs that are over the counter. But the game has always been to somehow control the populace through whatever means, whether it's through taxation, whether it's through drug use, whether it's through welfare programs. There's a number of ways that you can control a nation. The best way to undermine any country is through the educational system. And that's been one of the biggest. That's been a way to divide, a way to indoctrinate, and it's working, you know. And for the Americans who stand by anything relatable to nationalism, faith, and God, what they do is they bring in foreigners, people who have no ties to the United States, no ties to the history, to anything to deal with the country as a whole, and they let them set up shop and eventually indoctrinate them into voting for whatever policies they want, so that the Americans who are here are basically washed out and they are able to implement these other policies. You think like, wow, these people in government, why are they doing this? Well, there's probably a handful of people who really have the interests of the people. Everybody else has foreign interests, and foreign interests doesn't want an American nation. They want everything to be under one umbrella. That's why they came up with the UN. Before that, it was the League of Nations, and it's always been the ultimate goal through the banking system, the financial system, is to bring every country under one central control. Just like having the so-called whoever they look at as their messiah to be a ruler or king of the world. And you just got to read up, man. You got to read up. I'm not going to get into anything conspiracy or any way out doctrines, but as you read and you see like just the Constitution, and when you think about one nation under God, and you look at the divide, and then you think about the two-party system, but then you think about like how you have two parties, but one party, if they're really for the people, why are they so one-sided? Why are they all the way in one direction? Nothing they're doing benefits the actual nation. And then you have another party voting against them. And does that really make sense to you if they're both American? If both parties were really for the people, why would there be such disparity? Why would there be such a big conflict? Because it's a game they're playing on us, man. You know, and like I said, the way to undermine is to divide and conquer, and to enter the household, destroy the family base, get rid of marriage, get rid of faith, bring in foreign entities that have no interest in acclimating to the society. They set up independent. Then you elect these foreign people into politics. They have their own agenda, and then basically you wash out. But if you're at the top and you're controlling the money, you still can basically implement control, and you don't care. You smile when you see the people. Oh, they're doing this. You act like you're so pissed, but there's no accountability. You see it going on every day. You bust your ass. You do all this. You see them when they arresting Americans, but you don't see any accountability for any of the foreign illegals or so-called people who claim to now have become citizens who are from other countries, who don't have Americans involved in their business, because they don't care about America and they want us all divided. We have actually went backwards as a nation, and I feel black culture as a black culture has went backwards, right around the 50s, right around when they started implementing the welfare program, right around when they really started going after the black leaders, people who were trying to unite the black culture. And, the civil rights on one hand got rid of segregation, but it destroyed black businesses. And now you have businesses where back then, you would frequent these places, and instead of like going there now, I heard a lady say it, they would call them like, oh, that's the greasy spoon, or that's the chicken joint. They degraded the status of those businesses because they were black owned. And we just became crabs in a bucket at that point. You see right now at the YNs, man, I've never seen so many young people that hate themselves. I've never seen so many people in America that hate themselves, go after each other, point the finger. But like he said, it's all a stage show, because behind closed doors, nothing's changing. None of those people are going to jail. There's no accountability. You see stuff in the schools where if this stuff would have happened back in the 60s or even the 80s, some of the stuff that they're doing in front of the kids, man, these people would have been, brought out and probably stoned. In any other country they would have been, but this is the type of shit that's going on in America, man. So I don't know, people always try to say, "Oh, Big Herc, you sound like you're voting for this, you're mad." I was like, man, I don't vote. I know the game. I've read I know the game. One's faster than the other to the same destination. My thing is, you got to play the middle. You certain things I like over here. Some of the stuff over here sounds interesting, but I'm not going to put no label on myself so that you can put me in a box and then say I'm this, I'm that. All I know is that common sense, faith, and moral fortitude is what I stand by. Not the bullshit, not the ignorant talk. I'm not getting behind anything that's not beneficial to the American people as a whole. And, I stand with the country, man. I mean, some people are, oh man, well, dude, if you don't like it, get the hell out of here. Bye-bye. But I was just raised different. Maybe it's because I came from a military background, but, I just keep a positive attitude. I try not to get caught up in a lot of the negative and the hatred. Sometimes I speak on stuff on social media because I feel it needs to be pointed out. And, a lot of people, they don't want to call it what it is because they're afraid of being ostracized. For myself, I've already been shadow banned and, canceled and all that. So it doesn't matter. But this gentleman, very intelligent, whoever you are, I would love to have you on my show to do an interview. Shout out to you. And yeah, man, just do some thinking, man. Do some thinking, find your faith, and be strong in your morals and your values. And just don't get caught up in the hype, man. BigHerc916. Don't forget to stop by the BigHerc916 store and pick you up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that Big Herc 916 has authored. You know how we do it.